Great. I'm just going to quickly welcome everybody to our final coffee club of the year, and it's really a huge privilege tonight and a real treat to have Meir Kraines sharing his story about his kidney transplant. I'm not going to talk too much or give too much of an intro, but I can say that we go back a very long way, and I feel very privileged to also be able to introduce you tonight. Our families have a long-standing friendship of many years, and I think that particularly tonight, and we've had those of you who joined the coffee club would know that we've had a huge variety of talks, and we are looking forward to continuing it in the new year. But I think this is a wonderful way to end the year with something very inspiring and meaningful. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Meir, and then afterwards to Noah, who will do the lucky draw. For those of you who haven't been here before, the way that we always work it is that we have something delicious or special to raffle, and Noah will take down everybody's names, and everybody will go into the lucky draw. If you could just check that you're on whatever device you're on, there's a name, because sometimes we have like some odd numbers and then we don't know who wins the prize. So if you could, or otherwise just put your name in the chat. But without further ado, over to you, Meir.
Okay, well, welcome one and all. It's a privilege to be here with all of you, and thank you for Dean for inviting me to the program. I'd like to start with a video. I'm hoping I can share this, which Renewal sent out, which is the organization which actually owe a lot of this whole thing is privileged to go through. Is under their guiding hand, their helping hand from beginning to the end. So I'm going to talk about them as we go through this, but this is something that they sent. I'm going to share my screen. So can I share? Oh, so Steven, could you give me the, here we go, share screen. Oh, can the host enable participant sharing?
Yeah, if somebody wants to call in, is there a way to call in?
There is the details, Ma.
Huh?
Yeah.
Send it to me, please, for those who want to call in.
Wow, David Weiss.
May you should be able to share now.
Okay, let me try. Here we go. So, share. Okay.
Sorry, Maya, there's no sound.
No sound?
No. In the sharing, just say it aloud, computer audio.
Okay, will do. This one here.
Go.
From Beit Shemesh. This is my daughter Hadassah from Yerushalayim. We're here for a kidney transplant through the hard work and incredible efforts of Renewal to find a match for my wife, who was almost an impossible situation. And through their incredible work and efforts, we came to this great day.
My name is Hadassah Eisenstark. We've gone through a very long journey to find my mother a kidney, a match. And Baruch Hashem, we got the phone call about 3 weeks ago, and we came in here to New York. I would like to thank Renewal, and of course the donor, who's a malach, who did such a nice act of chesed to give my mother a kidney. Thank you very much.
The recipient I met last year, Christmas time, when I was in Estrella visiting my daughter. She came with her family to Yerushalayim from Bet Shemesh. She needed a transplant. And today a donor is giving her the gift of life. And hopefully after today she will be able to Zamir from the nuclear that she's getting. And that she will have a Shana Tova Batuka, and it should be a good year and a great year for her with a new transplant. Amen.
Okay, so that was a nutshell where this actually ended up. So let me begin at the start of the story. And this actually began about a year ago in November. So there was about a couple of years before, there was a drive-by renewal for like one or two people who needed a kidney, and they were asking people to come around and hear a speech and just have people to make public awareness of this. And apparently that was successful, because about a year ago, they actually had a number of people from Baltimore. Just maybe a little bit of brief background about me, because I've been out of touch for a number of years. I live in Baltimore now since past about 16 years with my wife Tirza, and my daughter Frida, and Kainhara, 5 boys. And I'm working now as a software developer. But anyways, about November, they had a place where all the recipients and all the sort of like made like a Lava Malka get together for people in the community to, I guess, as a tribute to the donors. So I had heard about this, and I figured you know what, you see like people are doing this. I figured I'm not deciding to do this. It seems a little daunting, but what could it hurt if I just went over there and just got swabbed and got my name put into their records? Like, I'm not committing to anything. I'm not signing on any dotted line. I'm just, putting my information into their registry. Seemed pretty harmless enough, right? So it was actually really nice. I came over there. There's like this line lining up. You take these Q-tips, you put them in your cheek, and you put them into an envelope, and that's it. That was like last time. I forgot about this, because about 2 weeks later, I headed over to Eretz Israel to spend a week with my father. A week after that, in about a week and a half, I was actually going back to Eretz Israel for the Levaya to sit Shiva. So right after that, my life totally changed, and it seemed like years ago when this happened, although it was only just maybe not even a year ago. So I come back after being in Eretz Israel sitting Shiva. I get a phone call. They tried to leave a message before, but like I got it, and I was just like just trying to process my loss. I just wasn't able to like deal with anything. But they called me in January, about 2 days before the Shaloshim. It was a Thursday. I get a call. Do you want to talk to us, about something, something interesting opportunity? So I speak with them, and they say, so we're talking with Rabbi Moshe Gewirtz, and this is the most interesting phone call I've ever had, because it's like a marketing type of phone call. He's trying to like tell you about something you can do, but with like no pressure. Usually like a telemarketer, like trying like sell you on something. His tone of voice was so not trying to like put any pressure at all. As we'll see, for the donors, they're like not allowed to like get any pressure of any form, and they have to tell you can back out at any time, and this is, and we have other options, like trying not to pressure the person in any way. So I was told as follows, there is a lady in Eretz Israel who you are a match for. She's around 60. She's a grandmother. She's an active person. And they looked all over Israel. They couldn't find a match. They're coming to America, and somehow you turned up in our database as a match, but not just a match. You turned out to be a very good match. You're like a needle in a haystack. So at that point, I'm like, whoops, I'm like, so I had two questions. What are these two questions? Giving a kidney, what are the short-term ramifications and the long-term ramifications? Meaning, how do you go through the process, and what's the long-term of, God gave you two kidneys, there's probably a reason for that, you know what I mean? Like, how do you live with that? So it turns out, and this is what he said, studies show that the long-term effects of not just living on one, usually it's perfectly fine. People live, vast majority of cases, happy lives with just one. It turns out that even if someone Lolino has kidney disease, it will often affect both. So it doesn't often help to have an extra one because they will both get the same kidney disease if that's the issue. So in terms of short term, this organization is there to help you with all the short-term practical pieces of this. It turns out there's something called there's laparoscopic surgery techniques which minimize the recovery of this. They help cover. They will do things while you're out taking care of this. They'll send over people. They'll send over cleaning help. In America, cleaning help is not as available or as widespread as another place in the world, but they will send over cleaning help. Your house will be like cleaner than it ever was. And they will, help send out and food and take out food and help with babysitting and carpools, and they'll help with plane tickets and train tickets and all the little details. And if you miss wages from work, they will repay all the wages that you'll have by not being at work during the recovery period. And all the practical details they'll take care of. That's the short term. The long term is, they said it should be okay. All right. So I said, I'd have to talk with my wife. I can't, of course, make anything on the spot. So we go home and we find out more information. We actually talk with our Rabbi Berger. And this is also an amazing thing that the Rabbi Yosef Berger speaks that turns out someone in his family has gone through this procedure. He had like a brother-in-law, I'm not sure who had some sort of kidney issue, and the family, and he went through that and suffered through that, and then he actually got a new kidney, like a family member needed a kidney, and he related how it totally changed the family around. It's like night and day. If you just picture, and let's just talk about what it means to have kidney failure. It means there is dialysis. You go 3 days a week and sit down for hours attached to some machine, which does somewhat of a percentage of a job which the person's kidneys actually do. And it's just like sitting there for hours every week, and it's just draining. So a person just tired and drained and tired and drained. It's hard to really live a life without energy, right? So it's really takes a big toll on a person. It turns out that dialysis is not really a long-term solution either. It's like 70. They chart out the people who are able to stay alive on dialysis after 1 year, a certain percentage every year, it gets lower and lower. After five years, it's like 10%. So it actually is not a long-term solution. So, but we went out to our doctor and find out about it. You want to get a second opinion, and he said 90-something% of people who go through this are as happy as a lark. And yeah, there are. Yes, it's not like no complications. Basically, the air rabbi. This is my personal talk that I asked. He said, you don't have to do this. It's up to you. I mean, the complications, the going through this type of surgery, as sophisticated as it is, you don't have to do it. If you want to, you're not they're not obligated to do this. It's up to you. You have a choice. And we have to think about it. Is this going to work for our family? And what was the biggest issue that we had? I was almost going to think it's finding a place to park in Borough Park was the biggest problem. But it turns out that the other big problem we had was it was actually who's going to take care of our kids. My wife's going to come up with me to New York, which is a different city. It's like 4 hours away or so by car. Who's going to watch our kids for like a week while we're not going to be there? Who's gonna, for whatever it is, just taking care of our family while we're not gonna be able to take care of them is a big deal. That wasn't, and we actually never really had a plan. Thank God my wife was talking with one of her sisters who had she had a brainstorm. She said, well, what about your mother-in-law, my mother? She might have the time and she's the bubby. She might be able just to go there and sort of like take over the house and take care of all the kids and everything while you disappear for a week, which was, easier said than done. So while we were at Kaya's wedding, we actually, that Shabbos before the wedding, sat down and we spoke over with my mother, and she was okay with the idea. She's like, okay, it is not a simple thing to like go and do that, but she was like, all right, I'm willing to do this. So we go down, we do some more blood work to confirm that I'm a match. So that's good. I'm scheduled to go to New York for a full day series of tests for like working out the dates a week before Pesach, 2 weeks before Pesach. And guess what? The hospital decides to close down because of the lockdown. They're not doing any more. They're closing their center, and basically that got on hold for about 3 months. 3 months later, I get a call from renewal from the hospital. We're starting to open up again. Let's have a telehealth thing. You don't have to go down for the interviews. You can just go down for some tests. Now, the way these things work, when someone is going in to be an altruistic donor, is they basically grill you and they do a lot of tests. They want to make sure not only will it be a good match for the recipient, but they want to make sure that it won't adversely affect the health of the donor, because they don't want to, usually most surgeries people go to, they're doing because they have to do it. But this is like a surgery, it's like a healthy person just going into like a major type of operation. You want to make sure that it's like healthy on the donor. It's going to be good for him, So I had to deal with the hard, like the biggest interview was from the social worker, like a lot of deep, like real, like questions are like, you want to be an altruistic donor. Well, what else in your life do you do that like shows that prove it to me that you're real an altruistic donor? What else do you do in life? Do you like volunteer? Do you like, what do you do that like shows and demonstrates that you're an altruistic donor? So I was caught off guard there, but I said I had a great answer. I said, you know what? My family, I grew up in a home of altruistic people. My parents had like an open home. They just did whatever they could to help the people out. And my grandparents, my Babi and Zaidi, they were all like these really hospitable and giving people. And it's just like the family that I grew up with. I think that like satisfied the questioner pretty well. Anyways, I go down. It was the first day they were opening out. The first time that Rabbi Gewurz from Renewal was allowed into the hospital was that day that I came in, went through all the tests. I actually met with one of the surgeons, the Jewish guy, is a Jewish person. You saw him on the video, Rabbi Dr. Greenstein. He actually, I got to meet him. Anyways, we go through some tests. The interesting was they say you have to bring an insurance card to the hospital just in case they start doing these like CAT scans or x-rays and they find something that you weren't aware of that might require more serious treatment. Make sure you have an insurance card with you. Well, thank God that worked out. I didn't discover any major things that needed whatever. So thank God. A couple of weeks later, we're past, and the next step is pick your day. Right? So we first have to make sure that my mother is able to go to America, and she's able to get back in when she leaves, right? We also have to make sure they have to clear the insurance for the recipient. They have to pick a date, and turns out a bit of a busy day. So my wife's busiest time is the beginning of September. She works in the office of the school, and her busiest time is getting the new year going. So like the day after she finished her busy season, we were scheduling celebration. But okay, so it was convenient. She ended up having a lot of time to work remotely and finishing up the last ends. But anyways, and probably one of the happiest times was being an altruistic donor means you're not allowed, they don't tell anyone, you don't know who the recipient is, they don't tell you, they don't tell either side the other side is. Why? They don't want any side to put pressure on the other side, because it actually is like a federal law. Someone could like maybe even go to jail or something for like giving money for an organ, or it's illegal. The whole point of this is you're not getting anything back, or there's no pressure or anything. So they finally, about 3 weeks before the operation, as you saw, they finally told the family of the recipient that this is going to happen. Like, pack your bags. in a week, you're headed to an operation there. But so that was good. So finally, the comic thing was that Maryland had just had a spike in COVID-19 cases, and New York had imposed a quarantine on anyone coming from my state, which means in order for this to happen, I'd have to like go to New York, spend 2 weeks in some hotel somewhere or something, and then wait another week for the operation. It was just a lot of time away from home. But thank God the nurse caught up and says, this actually doesn't make a lot of sense. Like what we're asking you to do is just a little too much. So they worked at her and the surgeon. They spoke with the New York Department of Health, and they said, all right, you can self-quarantine at home, which is able to down it after a minute in the yanin, whatever. So finally, I drive in for a pre-op the Thursday before, and then the Monday before we had to go in to New York, a day before through a COVID test, just for safety. So we go to New York and we park the car in the remote office. We work at that detail. One of the nice things was originally we were meant to stay in an apartment right next to the hospital. Last minute, turns out they just didn't realize that the recipient's family were already planning it in that same apartment set of rooms, and they weren't allowed to have the recipient and the donor be like near each other before the operation. So we had to like cancel that last minute. But while I was planning on going, it was actually real. It was nice. I found an outdoor minion in Riverdale, just like 15 minutes away or so. And I spoke with I called up a family who like runs an outdoor minion, and I told them like I was headed to be part of a kidney transplant, and she asked, so what do you do? So I'm gonna be the donor. She's like, well, is there any way I can help you? Do you want any meals? Can we drive you? Like so willing to help, and it was just amazing, anyway. So we ended up going to Borough Park, the place called the Park Place Hotel, just like a nice hotel, like these, like it's like a double up, it's like a suite, it's like an apartment with a room. And there's actually one of the things we liked about this was we actually got to tour Borough Park. We've never really spent a lot of time there. We live in this more like a suburb place. People are much more likely to be driving around than walking around. You go to this place where like it's like a bustling place. We're just walking, people just walk outside. It's like something you like never see if you aren't in a city. It's like Meisha, it's like Geula meets the US. It's like just this whole experience we never had. We actually had a driver to drive us to the hospital for the COVID test. He gave us a driving tour of the city. Here's this building, and this is this place, and we got the whole tourist thing of New York City, which was pretty neat. At the hospital, we went the day before, and the person who runs the show there is an artist and a sculpturist. He showed us all the artwork he had done in the show and everything. So just a bit of a light way to get an acquaintance with the hospital. So then the next day, this was Wednesday morning. It was the something like the 9th of September or so, forgetting exactly. So we wake up early in the morning. They get a car service driver to take us to the hospital. It's like we're like driving like 5 o'clock in the morning or so. It was just interesting because the car service driver was just chose to like pour out his life story to us. That his father was a Holocaust survivor, and just telling us all the stories about his father and like the Holocaust memoirs. It was like surreal, just going up with that. But anyways, we get to the hospital, drop off. They found a apartment near the hospital where Tirza could stay for a couple days. So we go in there. I'm like behind a curtain. I get it. So one thing I didn't mention is that Newell has a family, a husband and a wife, the Fetters, who work with the donors with all the details. They help work out where to stay, the hotel, working at all the drivers. They helping get meals, and also like a play-by-play what to expect, right? What's the process gonna be? He told me like what food to eat, what food not to eat. What are I need to get some rest and have to walk around a lot, and different things to do and what to expect afterwards, and always just a number to talk to if had any question. So him and his wife just like a great team, helping take care of us, helping take care of stuff for my kids and my mother. So he actually texted me like on my way. He said, what this certain Rebbe says, a very beautiful text. He said, you are being given the opportunity to do something, a mitzvah that probably most people would like to be able to do, but most people can't. It's not for some reason, it's not practical for various reasons for many people to do it. It's like a opportunity to do this. And he told me that there's a schus, something to say over the parsha of the Akedah in the morning right before the surgery. The idea being that Yitzchak Avinu was willing to give up his life to do a mitzvah. So this idea of like going out of your comfort zone and going through a surgery to do a kindness is the same type of mitzvah. Anyway, so I behind the curtain. They're all. The funny thing was, I'm like, listen, as I'm checking in and getting ready to hear someone signing up, and they say, hello, my name is so and so, my date of birth is so and so, and I'm like, that's the person, that's the recipient. I like worked it out, like based on her date of birth and her name. Like, I bet that's the one. So never saw her, she was, but I sort of heard her voice, as right before I was going into this. So the Rabbi Gewurz came by with a piece of paper. So the family had gone to two noted rabbis in Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky. He was on the video for like a bracha, for like a Shana Tova bracha for me, Rabbi Biederman. But the interesting thing was that the bracha from Rabbi Biederman actually had the Hebrew name of the recipient. Liba Bas Das. It's like my mother had been asking me, do you know the name? Do you know the name? I finally, I like texted her, said, the name is da 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 da. So you can, so thank God, since she was davening for both of us. Anyways, I thank God it works out. I go under, I wake up, and the funny thing is that, and this is the one thing, just to take a step back, which is, I had no idea who the recipient was, right? There was no names or no identification. Like it could have been like any family in Israel, like it could have been anyone. The funny thing was that the recipient actually was, her husband went to Or Sameach in Yerushalayim where my father went to, and he actually knew of my father. Never like met him, but he knew of him by like his like reputation. So he was like, once he heard who my name was, he was like calling up. So we had to have like common friends and common bam. Like it's so funny. So he's like calling up his friends, like, could it be that it's really that this is Kraines related to that? he was like really excited, you know, that we're actually connected, right? But turns out that the Herschels, this is the name, by the way, is Nachum and Linda Herschel from Beit Shemesh. And their daughter, who's on the video, is married to a Eisenstark, who were my parents' neighbors in Malot Dafna in Yerushalayim when I was born, actually. So they were my parents' old neighbors. So they're it's like funny, like how we this could have been like any random family turns out to be like connected to us, which is just pretty neat. Yeah. Anyway, so I wake up and it was so nice. I get to see this picture. Actually, for me, what gave me chizuk, I had this picture of Rav Chaim Kanievsky, like a note which he signed to me. It just gave me chizuk just to like look at that. I was doing just to recover. I'd learned some various like breathing exercises just to help calm down. Like the biggest issue in the recovery was that the way they do the laparoscopic operation, the way they get the incision so small, was they actually insufflate, which is they blow up the stomach, and I just need to like calm down, you know. It was just more like a little uncomfortable, like while that was that. So anyways, he's doing that, and thank God, like for just a couple of hours, my wife comes in, and so that night, just told me the whole story. It turns out that Rabbi Gewurtz knows my brother-in-law, Nathaniel Friedman from Atlanta. Anyways, that night I was walking around, and it just got better from there. So most of it is that I guess for the recovery, most of it was just the side effects of this operation. The way they do it is that you wake up with no appetite, without solids. You can like drink liquids. So you first think liquids, and then you like move on to like applesauce and yogurt. It's like it. So they released us. Actually, it was pretty neat. Was that Aaron Federer came by that night? He came to visit. It was a couple interesting little things. Can I just do video settings? Go ahead. Video settings. So he came down with like a couple of it's gonna be weird though. Yeah. So he kidney hydration, sedation, couple little cute little things. Oh. This is, I'm sorry, whatever the story is, but it's renewal. It's like a cute little pillow. Whatever this is, renewal, whatever this is. The point is, it's I'm a kidney donor. My superpower is being in two places at once. Little cute little things, like a heating pad, and just big. And so it's just little things just to help the recovery process. So we left the hospital then, and we got home to, we spent Shabbos in Borough Park. They gave us like a ton of food. Very cute, like all little things, little shots my myself. And then we got back. Thank God, my mother, Yisrael Moshe, and Hillel, my mother, and my mother-in-law, and my whole family has been just doing great. It was just a great job. The kids were taken care of. It turns out that the Herschels are very well connected. They're related to him, related to that. It turns out like this news spread all over the place because of their connections. And I got back home. I'm just gonna maybe end off with one little thing. I know we're sort of getting a little up on time here, but thank God, like every day started getting better. My mother would walk over every day to visit me, spend time. Like, thank God I was able to get off from work for like a full month through Sukkot. That was fine with work and everything. There was a cute little thing where, so in Borough Park, a donor, someone who actually was a donor herself, came over with some magazines for us to look at over Shabbos, and like some popcorn or stuff. They give us so much food, but the thing was, at least I was able to like eat a little bit. Like my first solids ever was just a little bit of all the Shabbos that they gave us, which is, you know, the first solids food I'd eaten in a couple days. Anyways, she said she had just been at a store to get some popcorn and some magazines, some, you know, Ami, whatever. And she bumped into a friend of hers who also had been a kidney donor. And her friend said, you know, people listening to us in the store are just not gonna, I can think we're crazy. But I'll tell you, the one thing that I regret is that I can't do this again. I can only give one, which was quite an interesting level. So thank God, getting stronger it's been wonderful. The the recipient, I just spoke with her family 2-3 days ago. They're doing well, heading back to Israel, and you know, she felt great. She felt like $1 million, you know, after the thing. And it's just, they had almost, I mean, they had, the backstory was that they had actually tried before it and had another donation, which failed, because the idea of this match thing is that certain people, so the body tries to sometimes fight off things that are foreign things that are attached to it. So some people have antibodies that are even strong, that like are really will like try and reject anything. She had actually previously gotten a kidney before, but her body had rejected it. So she needed a very specific, something called a cross match, a certain blood type, or there was certain types of something in the blood that matched hers, so that it like, you know, fooled her body that it was the same thing. And that's why somehow my genetic makeup was such that her body just accepted it. And it was like a rare thing to find, which was, thank God it's been working. She's, you know, she's doing well. And yeah, the recipient's doing great. I just spoke for just like 2 days ago. I spoke with her husband. She's heading, I think, back to Israel. They had to stay like another 3 months near the hospital just to make sure it's all doing well. And then I think they're done. They're headed, or maybe they're already back with their family in Israel. I'm not sure, but they're sort of finished and doing well after 3 months. So thank God it all worked out. So, you know, I hope it just continues. Hope she has continued, you know, good health and everything. And thank God, I'm just happy to be given the opportunity. And for me, especially, just the timing of when I got this, it was just perfect timing, because it was just right at the end of the Shloshim. We are at a time that Shloshim is more of an intense time, and I was looking for some mitzvah to hold on to, or something to, you know, just be connected to my father, and being able to work on this with this mitzvah for the next couple of months. I sort of did it as like in his memory. It helped me also with just the whole healing process of being able to do something like this for my father's sake. And the funny thing was that the recipient's family was really connected to my father, which is pretty cool. But for me, it was actually I'm really glad that it all worked out. The amazing thing was that the plan worked out. Like, my mother was able to go fine. No one got sick, you know, she was all well, and thank God, you know, I'm just happy that it's all worked out. I guess that's the sort of the end of the story, at least the bigger details. Thank you for letting me speak.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, and it just just for being so real and being able to really share what this experience meant for you. And yeah, I mean, such a profound experience, as you say, everything that sort of came together, and that actually there was something about giving that was part of your healing, and so profoundly connected to the legacy of your beloved dad. So thank you. We always open up for questions. It sometimes takes a couple of seconds if people do have questions to ask, just to sort of put their thoughts together. But please feel free to unmute or type in the chat if you do have a question or a comment. Does anybody have anything to start? So maybe I can just read some of the comments that are coming through. So from Louis Chapman, Uncle Louis and Aunt Elke here. Our daughter Brooke, Ma's cousin, was a good friend of the surgeon's daughter. And then Leah, her dad, said, so amazing. Wow, thank you for sharing. Heather Setson has said, so special, well done. I have a friend who has had 2 transplants, and I will send her this recording. You sound so much like your wonderful dad. Thank you for sharing. And then also just, there was obviously a break when we was talking and saying from travel camp, Akba and afterwards, small world, all these connections.
Hi, Meir. I've got a question. I've got 2 questions, one for you and one for Nechama. My first question for you is, how did COVID change any of the protocols that you had to go through? Did it make it more difficult in the hospital? And for Nechama, my question is, when Meir came at before Chaya's wedding and told you he's going to donate a kidney, what went through your mind as a mother?
Okay, so it's like two good questions. I'm gonna start off with the one for me. So it did have it affected a lot. It made things, a lot of things became complicated. For instance, how do I they wanted me to go to New York for testing, like when where usually people can go on a train, an Amtrak it's called, and take a train in, and it's like a quick thing. You're there 2 hours, but I didn't want to take any public transportation, right? I just didn't want to risk getting any exposure, especially because if I did get exposure, maybe how would that affect this whole kidney transplant and anything? I wanted to take it, so I had to end up actually just driving in myself and then driving back the same day. And then you get this complication of, well, if you're meant to be going for testing, you're meant to be fasting, for able to do some tests. Well, how do you drive 4 hours in on an empty stomach in the middle of the morning, right? It's like, I don't know, I'm not sure it's you can hardly drink anything, just fast. So they said, all right. So I spoke with them. They're like, all right, you can have some toast in the morning before you go. That's fine. So anyway, don't have any egg. The funny thing was that, Tirsa just bought me an egg sandwich to have on the road the night before, the one thing I couldn't have. The other thing was that besides for all the quarantines, we're actually pretty neat. So, what was I going to say? Yes. So they didn't let any family members stay with me. Usually that, my wife would be able to stay with me the whole time, morning, evening, in the hospital. Based on this, she had to, just come in for visiting hours, 2 hours a day. Most of the time she was by herself, which, definitely made the experience more challenging for both of us. So in terms of when we had to go to Borough Park and stuff like that, it just made things a lot less smooth than it could have been. But thankfully it was all able to work out and no one was sick. My mother was willing to make the trip, but through all of this, and guess I'll let her talk.
Here we go. Okay. So what was my reaction? Was that the question, Noah? Okay. So what would any person say? I think it was very proud of Meir and Tirza that Meir wanted to do this. And if I could help them and has time with my children and grandchildren, so I'm right there, you know, and when you go to help somebody, help yourself. I don't think because of the whole COVID situation, I would not have planned to have gone to America. But because I went to help Meir and Tirza and be with the kids, I was able to be with our children over Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, which I would not have had. So, which also, whenever you go to help somebody, you end up helping yourselves. But all of us are just very proud of Meir. Meir has always been my, you know, we've always looked up to Meir, and in this also, we've looked up to Meir too. And we're very proud of Meir and Tirza.
Hi,
Hey,
can I
Tucker.
ask a question? Well, firstly, Shakawak, I think it's just an amazing story. And I think that I just want to know that now it's 3 months on, how are you feeling? How has it affected you in any way? Do you still feel the scar are you weaker?
Yeah, so at this point, it's been in stages, you know. It's, I think any type of surgery like this, as you know, as successful as it was, like the surgeon said, it was like super forward. But just going through this, it takes a toll. Just because just being weak, you know, being able to walk around. Thank God, in terms of, I was very fortunate that it wasn't like really painful per se, just maybe the couple hours just trying to, you know, maybe right after hospital racing, it was like a little irritable, had some medicine, antidepressant, whatever. But thank God it was not as painful as I had thought. I expected it to be worse than it was. So I was happy that it was not, it wasn't like a walk through the park, but it wasn't what I had expected. So I was happy about that. But every day I'd been, you know, when I first came home, I would take a nap every day in the morning, like an hour, 2 hours, and still, over time, I've been, you know, able to walk further and get stronger. I can't say I'm at my full strength. I couldn't run a marathon, but definitely, you know, I still need at some time just to take some time just to like take a nap just during the day to get some strength back. So it is still a process, but overall healed really well. And
do you miss it? Do you feel like there's something missing in your body?
Lost weight. No, I mean, I think what they say is, the surgeon said that when someone has 2 kidneys, each kidney sort of pulls half of the load. It's like 50-50. And he said when you sort of lose one, the remaining one, it starts getting like stronger, and it does, let's say it's like up to like doing 75. So it's not the same kidneys, and which is why long term, the advice I was told was things like, I didn't mention it, but like I'm not allowed to have Motrin anymore, or aspirin, or basically Tylenol is like the maximum. Apparently there's some type of these painkillers that are just not good for the kidney. They're advising me to do things to have low blood pressure, you know, not to have too much salty food or things like that, because the lower the blood pressure is, the less your kidneys have to work. So it's more like this decision, it was more like a long-term commitment to taking care of my health, so that, you know, the one kidney that I have will not be unduly stressed. So it's almost, for me, it's a, you know, I can't say, what have I changed that much? I'm not sure. Maybe can't say any major things that have changed because of that, but overall, it was a decision to be more on top of my health, to know that but thank God, I think I have anything of like low blood pressure. Just, I think those weren't the issues that I had. So I'm not that concerned, but it is a long-term thing going forward to try and, you know, be cognizant of only having one.
And was she happy with it the whole way through? Did you have to convince her, or?
Oh, you're my wife. So that is you are really on the ball. And the more that I found out about the situation, that actually is a, more common than you would have thought, or maybe as common as you would have thought, depending on your expectation. But often it's a thing, and the unsung hero of this is my wife, who was able to try and make it work. We sort of, and again, the thing was, especially as we sort of had no plan, one of the things was that once we went through the whole COVID-19 took over, we realized that you never really have a plan. So in a sense, it made it easier to not have a plan, because when do you really have a plan anyways? But yeah, but it was not, especially as just a lot of things, it was actually a very busy and interesting. It was not a typical year, just going through losing my father, going through, our kids didn't have any camp. My wife works through what's the summer here, and usually we send our kids to camp. This year, the camps were like sort of closed, it was, so basically all our kids were all playing at home. I was like in my home office working, and I can actually work from home, and my wife was working upstairs, and it was just a lot for her to manage. So there was it was a very busy time, but amazingly enough, we were able to hold through and do this together. But just dealing with this emotionally, dealing with the whole thing. Thank God it worked as well for the recipient, which was a gift. It doesn't always work as well for the recipient, but it responded right away. The doctors were just like, the doctors were like, they're like amazed just like how quickly and how well the kidney worked. So the fact that it had a good ending and there were no complications definitely made it easier. But I'm fortunate. The lady who came to visit in Borough Park, she said her husband was against the whole thing, and she had to work against, almost with her husband being unsupportive, and going through this. It was not simple at all. And as I think about it, I appreciate that it's not a simple thing to do. So I'm grateful that it all worked out, and we will work it out.
Mayor,
What we did this together.
Question, Mayor, do you, post-surgery, do you have any, now have any permanent dietary limitations or limitations on your physical abilities for exercise or whatever?
I was told, I'm not sure, the abdominal crunches apparently are things I shouldn't be doing, at least maybe for another couple months or so, let it all heal. There was spreading, not, I can't, yeah, okay, the biggest thing was not being able to do heavy lifting after the operation. So, and the thing is, I come home and it was like my son, my 3-year-old son was I just felt so natural to just pick him up. And I tried that once, and then I realized immediately, I wasn't meant to do that. It's you have to go against your reflexes to pick up your son, and don't. So those were probably the biggest thing was the
permanent,
yeah. Long term, not really. I mean, except for
permanent dietary.
I was told immediately. Long term, I was told try and do low sodium and low saturated fat. It's more idea of try to make your kidney do less work. The main thing was no Motrin, no aspirin, stuff like that. It's more things to avoid. There was nothing which was don't do this at all. It was more avoid these things. So, which was fine, which was, it's okay. I've been, so we'll see. I guess there is what to learn. I might learn that some things that I'm doing or eating I shouldn't be. We'll learn along the way. Thank you.
I'll just read, if I may, just a few of the comments and questions. So Rosalie Weisfeld said, thank you so much for sharing your ability to perform this amazing mitzvah in your father's merit. The story has so many ties to so many. Today is the perfect day to share from your cousin Rosalie and my son Jonathan, who is listening from the border of Mexico in Texas.
Thank you.
And then, of course, Moish had to ask his mom a question and said, weren't you nervous as a mom, Emma? Emma said, yes, I was nervous, as you can imagine. I dug in very hard for the whole time, but I wanted to support Randy's decision. And then I'm not sure who this is from, but we are also proud of you, Mayor. Your mom said they all look up to you. We all do. We look up to the wonderful heritage. You have from your parents. You're an incredible representative of your incredible family. May Hashem continue to bless you all with the ability to perform mitzvot and make the world a happier place. May you all have unending true Yiddish nachas from your wonderful family.
Amen. To all of you. Thank you. There is actually.
It's from Rose. It's from Rosemary. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know, so nice. My siblings, so they all read all of them for me at the operation. One of the question was, someone asked me, which I think is, I had the same question, like, why did you have to schlep all the way to New York? It was operation. It was so complicated. It would have been much easier just to do this in some local hospital nearby. I had the same question, especially right. So, I mean, the truth is that this hospital, I later read that the hospital that I went to, Montefiore in the Bronx, the recipient had gone to that hospital specifically and had they were registered in that hospital. I think renewal is based in there, which is another, so the organization is based in New York and they try and do it. They actually have branches in other cities. I think they have one in Toronto. They're maybe I saw one in the UK. I actually wondered if there is a South African equivalent of something that does something similar, or actually wondered about this thing in the essay. Seems like that's where they're based in, but several times I sort of asked the questions, can I have some testing there? I never got a good answer. It seems like that was the hospital that they chose, the recipient chose, and that was the protocol was I had to go there, and shoo, I'm glad it all worked out. That's all I can say.
We're not complaining.
I know in South Africa, I mean, I'm not sure of the details, but we have a cousin who had a kidney transplant. He's based in East London. And so we also just have a sense of what a massive, huge, life-changing gift this is. But I know that Hatsola does a lot of work with kidney transplants. I'm not sure exactly. I don't know if anybody else knows any of the details, but that is a point of contact if anybody's interested here, if you're based in Africa.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually one actually special thing was, it's so nice that people were reaching out afterwards. This touched people, I think, all over the world. When people heard about this. The people hadn't spoken to in years. They reached out to me hey, how are things going, whatever. And I had to reconnect with people and hadn't spoken to in in a while. So it just was I was glad that this was actually it was something that inspired people. For Rosh Hashanah, my wife's aunt who lives in Toronto, she heard about this. My mother-in-law was doing a lift scheme for us. She said, I'm going over, my son and daughter in New York, this procedure. And she said, you know what, I had a tough day. Hearing about this, it just made my day, it just helped me a lot. It was that. Right. So she was really, it was helped her. She sent us a bouquet of flowers that Rosh Hashanah, it was a week before Rosh Hashanah this happened. So she sent us a bouquet of really nice with it's mitzvah that yours that that give me strength, for the coming year, which actually just that itself was like a special, it was like really nice, you know, that you did that. So we actually appreciate that.
Well, let me tell you, because you are my absolute hero, I must say. I don't know if you know that I'm on dialysis. And I will be for the next couple of years, because when they took out my kidney, they found that I've got that I had cancer in it, and you've got to be cancer free before you can, for 5 years before you can start looking around for a kidney. But just hearing your story just gave me hope that, that maybe when it's time for me to need one, that there'll be somebody there for me as well.
Yeah.
So thank you. You really gave me a lot of
I mean, you know, it was like, they said, the family said they had really like, you know, it was rare enough trying to find someone. They had tried once, they made a trip to America. There's an email which her husband sent to. I'm not sure if all of you have read it. What? Yeah, they tried once, it didn't work. And then came COVID-19, and they like for sure, they like had no like, almost like given up hope of ever it all working. And then all of a sudden they just got this news that just fly to America in a week from now and you'll have a date lined up. And that was something which it was like a Yom Tov for their family to hear about it. So these things can just happen, you know. It's incredible. So wish you all long life and good health.
Thank you once again for everything, and thank you for everybody for your questions and for your sharing. Now I hand over to Noah just for the last part of this evening.
Hi, everybody. So firstly, I just want to thank Meir for joining us from Baltimore. I have never met you, Meir, as part of the Kraines crew. Greg and I, my husband Greg and I joined Awesome approximately 11 years ago, and you were already out of the Kraines house. But knowing your mother and knowing your father and your sisters and your brothers, it's not surprising that you've done this. It's a Kraines legacy to be altruistic. So when the social worker asked you, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Secondly, what I would like to do is just welcome the tellers to our coffee club. It's our last coffee club of the year, but we're going to start again in the beginning of next year. And we just wanted to welcome Rabbi and Ruchama Teller to our coffee club. Please God, many more. And yes, just to announce that this is the last coffee club for the year. We are very excited to have a little bit of a break and start again next year, where we have some more exciting talks we've got our medical series, we've got our travel series, we've got our professional advice series. We've got some really great talks lined up for next year, so watch the space. And to just let everybody know that there is a YouTube channel that we've created called the OSS Coffee Club, and all the talks get uploaded onto our YouTube channel. So if you've missed some of the talks, or if you want to re-listen to some talks, like for example today's talk is just extremely inspiring, it will forever be on the web on our YouTube channel. So to finish off, our regulars would know that every coffee club we have a draw, and it's a mystery draw. And today our mystery prize is a Gelatissimo voucher that was donated very generously by Javi from Gelatissimo. I see Stephen wants to put on the Gelatissimo picture, which I'm sure will come after his Take-A-Lot order. So while Stephen's looking for the Gelatissimo picture, I just want to run through how we do the draw. So while Meir was talking, I just wrote down everybody's name and allocated a number to it. So everybody's name is on. and I've taken the numbers and put them in a cap, and we usually call one of our kids. It seems that my volunteer is, as usual, Adam. Adam, come say hello.
Hello.
And he's going to draw a number, and then he's going to announce the winner.
I'm gonna pick myself.
You're not going to pick yourself again. Only happens once. And the winner is, what's this? Turn it around. 49. 49. Meir Kraines. I'm assuming a Gelatissimo voucher is a bit far away from you. Meir, would you like to nominate someone in South Africa?
Or just read jokes so I can win.
Is Ishaya still on with us? You're on mute, Ishaya. We can't hear you. There we go. I think we can hear you now. Can it come with a free ticket? Well,
If
I'm
only.
not sponsoring a ticket. Ishaya, should we redraw? Have you got somebody you'd like to nominate in South Africa?
Says redraw. I can get.
Ishaya, if you can just write, because we can't hear you. If you can just write in the chat.
He said redraw. I can see his words.
Please redraw. Okay, so we're going to shake the hat again. Let's see which Kraines brother's coming up next.
I want to see.
What number?
Larry Goldberg.
Larry Goldberg. Are you in South Africa, Larry? Larry Goldberg. Larry Goldberg. Are you still with us? No, Larry Goldberg's in Israel.
But
We've
maybe
got
Larry,
such-
does he want to gift it to somebody?
Such an international crowd
Maybe you
today.
can-
Larry, would you like to gift it to somebody in South Africa?
Or redraw.
But old grannies.
Please
Redraw.
redraw. We're
I
doing
picked
it.
that.
Okay, next.
Damn, that's not me.
What number?
39.
39. Raisi Satna. I know she's in South Africa.
I want to see. I want to show.
Damn it.
Raisi Satna.
It's me. Thank you. So
Yay!
excited.
Raisi, I will get your number from Stephen, and I will let you know when you can go to Gelatissimo, and Javi will have the voucher for you, and I hope you have a delicious ice cream for Shabbos.
Thank you so much. It's actually her mom. It's just her name, but thank you so much.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Wonderful.
All right, so I just want to thank everyone for joining us. And sometimes what we do afterwards is everybody just says hello and how's it and what's up. So I'm going to mute myself, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Hey, man.
I just want to thank Meir for sharing his story and Nechama for her sharing how she felt as a mother. And this is Rosalie Weisfeld. I'm the one from McAllen, Texas, on the border with Mexico. And it's such a international group that we have here today. And it's so nice that we have Zoom that we can share from far and wide. And I just want to thank Hashem for giving the wisdom and the insight to Meir to make the donation, and the surgeons for doing such a wonderful job, and all the other medical staff. And also to the creators of Zoom that have opened up the doors to the homes of people all over the world so we can share. Thank you so much to all the organizers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for all the organizers and all who took part. It's just such a wonderful opportunity to I've actually been asked, a couple people, they asked, you want to come, I'm going to talk about it in our school. And I have, a little bit of, like, why ask me? Ask someone, like, I don't know. I haven't been jumping into that. But when I got or somebody and asked me, that's like family, like it was a no-brainer to come and talk to all of you. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and God bless. Looking forward to maybe sharing more, hopefully happy occasions, and the Mazel Tov on the new rabbi. We're also excited about this, the new chapter. Just so happy its community is thriving, and we all continue to thrive and grow. And it's really glad to be part of this. Thank you.
Amen.